Dakota is a grown man in his 20s who gets mistaken for a lost child so often that the police dispatchers in Charleston, West Virginia have a shorthand for him. And no, that's not a joke. In the police radio traffic this February, somebody rang in about a child standing alone outside a McDonald's on Washington Street East, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Please help, need food." Dispatch didn't send a car. The answer that came back was essentially, "That'll be Dakota. You can clear it." A stranger saw a child, the dispatcher already knew the name, and somewhere in the gap between those two things is everything that's happened to this man since 2023. Because for 3 years now, a rotating cast of people have found Dakota, pointed a camera at him, announced they were the ones to finally save him, and then left him.
I always knew one day me and Dakota would depart.
Alright, Crazy K. Thank you for everything you've done for me.
There are at least 5 of them, and despite that, he's still outside. So let's do this properly, because the version of the story you've probably seen starts in the wrong place and honestly blames the wrong people. Dakota is small. He has an arrest record, so you can see on that it lists him as 3'9" and 43 pounds. I'm not going to put a diagnosis on him because nobody in 3 years of footage has ever produced a medical source for one, and I'm certainly not about to invent one for some extra views. But what I can tell you is what's on camera, and over again, adults look at him and see a child. That's not something the internet did to him. That's his daily life, and it's the single fact that everything else in this story hangs off of. And since the question under every video about him is, who actually is Dakota? Well, here's what he's told people about himself on camera, unprompted. He likes rap, his favorite, Little Dirk. He had a shrine to him in the flat. He likes spaghetti. He loves his grandma, and he's got her nickname tattooed on him. And he'll tell you completely, sincerely, that Gary Busey is his cousin.
Have you ever met a celebrity?
Yeah.
You really? Who is it?
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey. How did you meet him?
He's my cousin.
He's your cousin?
And that he's met him. I mean, I've certainly no idea who told him that or why, but he absolutely believes it. The first time he showed up on camera was in 2023. A TikToker and an inspiring rapper called Crazy K pulled over because he thought Dakota was, and you've probably guessed it, was a kid on his own.
What you doing out here by yourself? You said I got a what? A cigarette? Where your parents? I ain't getting you no cigarette.
If you guys could leave a comment down below saying the word hello, I'll reply to every single one of you, and it helps push this video. When he worked out Dakota was an adult, he didn't put the phone away. He actually got closer. And honestly, what came next was a run of viral clips in a house with rotting food and stains on the floor. And to be honest, a lot of them were genuinely grim to sit through.
I think I heard somebody outside. No, the plug in. Whoever can stay the longest. Hold on, Dakota. Kenny, them feet touch the ground, you lose.
Skits where a grown man is handled like a prop, told to act like a baby, passed around, and this is where Dakota picked up the red bandanas and the gang imagery you'll see in his videos for years afterwards. And throughout this, the whole time, he was just simply getting worse, and the Crazy X era ended with the way nearly every chapter of this story ends, with an accusation and a camera. Crazy K filmed himself throwing Dakota out, saying he'd stolen from him. Watch Dakota's face in that clip. He says, "Thank you for everything you do for me."
Alright, Crazy K. Thank you for everything you've done for me.
To the very man evicting him. To the man that really just simply used him for views. Then it got even worse. Dakota ended up in an abandoned house with a group of other homeless people, and by his own account, they stole from him, took his bank card, and put him to work, stripping copper wire out of the walls to sell, while there was no heat and the winter was coming. Then he was hospitalized with a gash down the side of his head and a bleed on the brain.
It looks a lot better than what it did, though.
Yeah.
For the people that don't know what happened, you want to summarize what happened?
Basically, I had a brain bleed and
And how did you get a brain bleed?
there was two people, they named you and they threw me down the steps.
Obviously, we can't verify that, but that was his own words. But the injury is real, and it's on camera afterwards. By the autumn, he was on the street corner with a sign begging for himself and for his new dog. This is generally where the story, as a lot of you know it, actually begins, with a rescue. It's also the first thing the popular version gets wrong. In October of 2024, a curator called Korcle pulled over. Now, Korcle was already big, about 1 million followers from motorcycle stunts, built long before he ever met Dakota. And in the video he posted about that day, the very first thing he says isn't "I found a homeless child," it's that he'd seen Dakota on TikTok before, and that the videos always had millions of views. Well, he knew exactly who he was looking at. Dakota was already famous to him. He'd been famous now for over a year, and one of the generally strangest bits of footage I've actually seen from Korcle was, at the time, wearing a super realistic old man mask while full white beard, sunglasses, and an orange hoodie with flames. And one of the videos that he was filming was a prank, so he had to stop mid-conversation and explain to Dakota that he isn't actually an old man. Then he can't put Dakota on the motorcycle because there's no helmet. So he tells him to meet him at the new Dollar Tree in 10 minutes, drives home, and comes back in a slingshot, which is a free-wheeled open-top vehicle that kind of looks like a go-kart for adults. He goes into the Dollar Tree to get cash back because he doesn't carry cash and Dakota's bike won't fit. So they wedge it across his lap with the front wheel sticking up over his shoulder, and he sits there grinning underneath it. Gives him a pair of sunglasses for the ride, the same pair he's wearing, so they both match, and they go to Taco Bell, where, shockingly, as Dakota goes to order, the staff behind the counter looks up and says, "What are you doing, Dakota?"
What you doing, Dakota? Just chilling?
She actually knew him by name, which is kind of hilarious. I suppose that's just how famous he was in the area, and Dakota was already a local face, and a viral one. What Korcle did over the next 6 months is the part everybody argues about, so let's just deal with the record. Dakota had been carrying a fake ID with SpongeBob on it for 3 years. Korcle sat him in a DMV for 3 hours and got him a real state ID, which is a single document that unlocks housing, benefits, and medical care for someone who has none. He even brought him multiple phones because Dakota kept losing them, and his dog ate one, apparently. Yummy. He brought him sunglasses repeatedly. He booked him a doctor to look at his tremors and a dentist. He put him in a motel and lost the deposit when Dakota smoked in the room. He took Felicity to apply for public housing and got her near the top of the list. And in April 2025, he got Dakota an actual flat. And if you watch the tour video, it's Hot Wheels lined up along every surface, hoodies on hangers instead of the floor, and a shoe rack for a man who had been sleeping in a house with no heat. That was an enormous change for Dakota.
The Lambo, you can just plug it in and drive right out. Go in the elevator.
Kitchen table.
Kitchen table looks good. How about those up there? Hot Wheels. He has Hot Wheels all around his room.
He also filmed all of it and got a lot of views from it. And you know what? This is where I genuinely have to be fair, because the accusation that Korcle got rich off a disabled man is the accusation that eventually turned Dakota against him. And the only person honestly, in this entire saga, who has actually seen any figures, says the opposite. A man who deliberately stayed off of camera the whole time published screenshots of Dakota's own private messages in which Korcle says his revenue went down after he started featuring Dakota, and that he carried on helping him anyway. That's one man's screenshot, so obviously hold it a little bit loosely and put a little bit of salt on that, but still, it's more evidence than what most people give. And on the other side, well, there is none. Across hours of coverage of this story, nobody has ever produced a payment statement, an analytics screen, or a single dollar. And the claim that Dakota resent the person doing the most for him was arithmetic. Somebody did out loud on a live stream from a follow account while pitching a rival on about how to monetize him better. Now, in April of 2025, Dakota's last day in the motel, a woman in the lobby asked to pet his dog and then asked him to be her boyfriend, just like how it usually happens in real life. Which brings us to the next chapter. On the first date, he stood waiting for her and she wasn't there. When it eventually happened, they went to a mall and she wound him up for jewelry he couldn't afford, saying, "You promised to spoil me," while Dakota paid, muttering on camera that he was already $50 down. And that set what was to come for the next year. There's footage of Felicity taking a call from an ex while Dakota cooks her spaghetti a few feet away, then laughing it off while his face goes flat. He wrote her broke-up letters that read like apologies, blaming himself. And to be honest with you, it seems from what I've seen online, Felicity is the one that everybody has decided is the villain. But honestly, from what I've seen, it's even messier than that. She's loud, she's rude to people, she's being caught with other men repeatedly.
He texted Robert. What the fuck he texted Robert?
So what? If you don't straighten up, I'll leave with him to California.
What the fuck's wrong with you? Why you leaving? Bye.
Bye?
And she has done real damage to someone who couldn't defend himself. And all of that is actually on tape. She's also a vulnerable adult who, made by her own account, has bipolar disorder, has seizures, and has also been in and out of hospitals, and has been through rough times. Meanwhile, people were coming for the flat. A squatter moved in, then moved friends in, and things started vanishing. A microwave and the Ring doorbell Dakota had fitted specifically to stop this very thing happening. He had to run up and physically remove the man on camera, and the flat had exactly one rule. Dakota was the only name on the lease. Felicity kept staying anyway, until management noticed. Then, reportedly, she threw an orange at an elderly couple on the balcony below, and got herself permanently banned from the property, from the reports that I found. This is the detail that kills the "he lost everything" version of his story, which almost everybody seems to just run with. Dakota was never evicted, Korcle said in his own video, at a point where it honestly would have suited him far better to say the opposite. He still has the flat. He's not evicted, and Felicity's parents want her home and would let Dakota visit. On the same video, one of them says they hope the place is gone by tomorrow. He didn't lose his home, he gave it away on purpose, and he said so out loud.
Probably will be evicted by tomorrow, I hope. Probably so.
I hope so.
You hope so?
Korcle stepped back after that. Not any kind of dramatic exit, just simply left. And what seemed to be just a man who had simply ran out of patience. And honestly, what he said about it is the most honest line anyone's ever produced in the 3 years of this whole saga. You cannot want a better life for someone more than they want it for themselves, which seems to be undeniably true here. He tried to help Dakota in many ways, but Dakota just simply at the end of the day didn't really seem like he actually wanted that help. Now, the moment he stopped, something became very obvious. Dakota and Felicity were two homeless adults with disabilities. They were famous with it, and that fame didn't make them safer. It made them worth something. Somebody did try the sensible looking thing briefly, which was to let them earn for themselves. Both of them ended up with Cameo pages, which is where you can pay somebody to say something or get a personalized message, and Dakota's was priced at about $14, with a banner underneath saying only 9 videos left, which is honestly the oldest trick in retail, but my man. And from what I can see from this Cameo, well, the reviews are still there. 1 star, more than once. Somebody paid $22 for a video from Felicity and got 4 seconds that ignored everything that they had asked for. But if I'm being honest with you, in all seriousness, if you went to pay for a Cameo for either Dakota or Felicity to give you a message, and then you got upset that you didn't get what you wanted, are they really to blame? I mean, could you not have seen that coming? I mean, apparently from the reviews I read, some of them even contained them yawning in the video and people complaining that you didn't do what I asked at all. Refund me. So no, I don't really think that's a scam so much as it is two people being handed a job that obviously had no chance of simply doing it properly. These are people who got given a flat and then gave it away. What did you expect? And obviously, I mean, nobody's actually sat them down, not even once, and taught them how to act or how to even hold a job. But it's the only time in 3 years, at least somebody tried to route the money to them directly. So at least there's that. Now, the next one to enter their lives was China Doll, who had about 6,000 followers when she met them. 6,000. Once she started posting with Dakota and Felicity, her videos were pulling millions. The biggest numbers on her page that she had ever seen. She had specifically said she didn't want other creators making money off these two, and then had the single most profitable few weeks of her life doing exactly that. She took them for pedicures and thrift shopping, all that fun stuff.
Right here, take a third one. Do it now. Do it!
It was Sam Diddy Party.
What happened?
All I was trying to do was give him a hug and he started freaking the fuck out. All I did was give him a hug
So bad
because I'm his girlfriend. Soon to be ex.
Y'all need to calm down.
Pee-pee! Daddy! Pip Daddy!
Felicity.
Pip-pee! Pip-pee!
Felicity.
Why is he ignoring me?
I don't know, he's mad.
Pip-pee! Dakota Michael Harper! I love you! All I did was give you a hug to tell you how much I appreciate you.
He's not happy. Sorry? Not happy at all.
All I did was give him a hug.
Are you ready to go soon?
No, I'm not doing fun with my friend.
And then came the promise that turned into a meme. A 5-bedroom house for 2 people who couldn't hold onto one flat. Seems like a pretty good idea to me. And here's the honest version of that house, because I've seen it reported both as a lie and as a real property. And well, to be honest, it's neither. It seemed to have been an actual building in an actual state of repair at some point. She's on camera saying they still need to get the drywall up. So it obviously wasn't invented, it was just never funded. And the maths has never worked. Because despite getting millions of views on YouTube, sure, I mean, you might make 5 to 10 grand off of that if you're really lucky and people watched the whole thing. But honestly, a 5-bedroom house? Yeah, no wonder the maths didn't add up. Take the 2 adults and feed them, transport them, and replace everything that gets broken or lost, and supervise them full time. well, that's just simply not practical, is it? It's a different order of magnitude. So no, nobody was ever going to content their way to that house, and anyone who's actually done this for a living knows it. So then the Chinna era ended in January, and it honestly ended pretty foul. She'd taken them into her family's home, and she posted in her own words that it was left with feces on the door, vomit, and cigarettes stumped out in bowls they'd eaten from.
Felicity, honey, I just saw the messages that you sent on TikTok, lied and said that I just woke up one morning and was mad and wanted you to leave. I have all the screenshots. I have all the proof that you were setting me up. I gave you all a place to stay, and you all destroyed, and wouldn't pick up one thing. I'm talking feces in the floor, on the steps, in the whole bedroom floor, on the bed, throw up on the bed. And Dakota literally looked at my 80-year-old grandmother, and when she said clean it up, he told her to eat shit. She's 80 years old. She doesn't even cuss. Like, that's horrible. Horrible. You all destroyed, and I did nothing but help you, feed you, do everything for you. Everything for you. You need to tell the truth, because you're just using people, and you know it, and it's both of you. You are users, period, and no one should help you.
Except, and this is where it starts getting a little bit strange, in her own caption on that same footage, she says something different. She says that Felicity didn't do it, and that all of it was Dakota, and that there was generally no problem until he had arrived. Same woman, same day, same clip, and two different versions. Watch what people do with these two on camera. Sat Felicity down and asked her on video whether Chinna had kicked them out.
Yeah, they're all saying that I kicked you out. Isn't that crazy?
You didn't kick us out.
No, I've done nothing but help.
Try to get y'all stuff. Did she allow y'all to? Did she?
She was giving them threats and burning their things.
Burning it?
Their everything, their birth certificate, their social security cards, you name it.
Why do y'all think she did that, Dakota?
Because she doesn't want us to have the identification.
And yeah, that's not exactly an interview. That's a woman using a vulnerable adult to produce an alibi. Then Crazy K came back into the story, and Felicity said on camera that before he started recording, he told her what to say, that he wanted her to say that Chinna was controlling, and in his own interview footage, you can watch him hand Dakota a word. He says it felt like she was barricading them in the house, and Dakota, a beat later, says it actually was barricading us.
Cause I felt like, I'm gonna keep it real, I felt like she was barricading y'all in the house.
She actually was barricading us in
and
the house.
promising and telling y'all basically like, oh, if y'all can't do this, y'all can't do that,
Yeah,
because we doing this and that for y'all and everything.
Then, the clearest one of the lot. Felicity was asked on one person's camera whether she had been made to file a protective order against Chinna. She said, yes, they did, actually. It was an idea, not mine.
The DVP, I was so drunk that day, I was drinking alcohol because I wanted to feel better.
Okay, the question is this. Did they make you do this DVP?
Yes, they did, actually.
Or not? So they told you to get a DVP
Yes.
on Twitter.
Then weeks later asked the question on someone else's camera with different people in the room. Nobody forced me. I didn't know anything about it. So again, same question, same woman, opposite answers.
Now, Felicity claims that she didn't want to do that, but also she was getting benefits by doing it and listening to what Tiffany said. Also claims that she even tried to tell Tiffany that Chinna does a lot for them and she doesn't want to burn that bridge, but Tiffany kept forcing the situation.
With the only question left was, who was holding the camera in the second one?
Not only do they want to see Dakota and Felicity and you, they want to see me too. They want this to come to a full circle. You know the dude. What's the dude they was with? Korce. How you?
We don't get along.
He made all that money off them. He made all that money off him and did nothing for him.
I know.
All that money.
What I've tried to tell people, but they won't listen to me. They think Korcle did everything, and I've done nothing.
Monetize your TikTok and your Facebook and everything. You need to make money because there's a lot of money in this dealing with these people because everybody cares for these people, right? So you need to monetize your stuff, make money, and whatever you can do, little things, it can help your kid, it can help you, it can help Dakota and Felicity. How about this? How about we switch the narrative? Let's actually show the people that we're going to help them accomplish things. Like I said, if you want to do this by yourself, you can do this by yourself. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you that I want to help these people, and that's just simple. Get them a phone, get them a birth certificate, get them an ID, get them some new clothes, and actually like make them real people.
And honestly, once you see that, the whole thing just reorganizes itself. This now isn't 5 people fighting over the truth about Dakota and Felicity. It's simply 5 people who each got the version of the truth they turned up for, from 2 people who worked out that simply agreeing with whoever is in front of them, well, that gets you a bed at night. And that's why every single account of this contains contradictions, and that's why nobody can pin down a single fact. Not because everybody is lying, not exactly, because the story reshapes itself around whoever can offer them that. And honestly, that should have been the moment somebody stopped filming and actually called somebody qualified. Instead, February came and it got a hell of a lot darker. Dakota was grabbed on the street and dragged towards a vehicle. The dispatch call describes a man dragging him, what appears to be a child, around 8 or 9 years old, down the road.
Been in the intersection of 58th Street Southeast, Korcle Avenue, 58th and Korcle Avenue. So there's a white male, gray shirt, black pants, dragging what appears to be a child down the road towards Lowe's. Child appears to be 8 or 9 years old.
That's probably we're not too far off. We'll run in and check it. You can leave them clear.
Charges followed, and there was a court date in June. I don't know how it ended because nobody followed it up. And that was the same month as the McDonald's call, by the way. 2 strangers in February, both of them looking at Dakota and seeing a child. One rang the police. Then, on the 14th of June, Dakota and Felicity were arrested.
So it says they're arrested at 10:10 this morning, and their bond is set at $500 cash each. Again, here's Felicity's bond set at $500, arrested at 10:10. Now it says Felicity's 2 charges are destruction of property and conspiracy. Dakota's 2 charges are the exact same thing, destruction of property and conspiracy. Specifically, conspiracy to inflict injury to persons or property.
And for once, there's actual paperwork on both of them being booked in the South Central Region Jail. The charges track back to 2 televisions broken at the home of a woman called Nisha, who had actually taken them in months earlier.
Y'all's gonna get y'all's belongings. This is called forgiveness, and we're all friends. Say hi, Nisha.
Yep. Hi.
And filled the paperwork on the 19th of May. So the arrest wasn't a fresh explosion, it was a bill, honestly just arriving late. Bond was set at $500 each, cash only. And at this point, add that up and that's thousands of dollars to get both of them out. And at this point, Dakota and Felicity had been the subject of videos with 11 million views, and a still photograph of them had pulled over 100,000 likes. 5 separate people had gone on the internet and announced they were the ones who really, in quotation marks here, cared. And everybody else was a user and a fraud, and only in it for the clout. Now, Chinna's page had grown from around 6,000 followers, from what we've previously mentioned, to now having close to 170,000. Also, some of her videos with them in have not just got a few million views, but some of them have over 66 million views, which is absolutely insane. So for her to say everybody else is just using them for clout, you can kind of see how something doesn't quite add up here. But going back to bailing them out of prison, nobody paid it. Not one of them. And throughout this video, I mean, if you've been asking the question of where does the money go under every single video about these 2, and what happens to all of it? Well, here's your answer. And it's not a number, it's actually a date. On the 15th of June, two people had gathered tens of millions of views for other people's accounts, and they simply couldn't raise a few $1,000s between the lot of them to bail them out. But what actually did arrive was another helper. A woman the internet nicknamed Sniffany started a fundraiser while they were inside with a goal of $1,200 for bail and expenses, and announced she was about to become their caregiver.
But there's these two people that are needing help, and she's just using them for likes and fame and attention, and that's not being a good friend. So I'm about to show them what a good friend is about. So what's up? You know who you are. What's up? You want to go live? Let's talk. I want to have a chat. A nice friendly chat. That's all.
On camera, she said she worked for the hospital, that she worked with adult preventional services and child protective services, and that she was actually certified until the following February. Then added, no confirmation that she ever worked for an adult services had ever surfaced. Weeks later, after all of it collapsed in court, reportedly reached out to Korcle, the man they'd all spent months insisting they could do better than. The rest is quick, and to be honest, is brutally ugly. Felicity accused Chinya of beating her with a ruler with nails in it.
Every time I would spill something or I would do anything bad, she would bitch at me and she would use a wooden ruler with nails and physically hurt me with it to make me bleed.
She has marks.
Of a black eye, of broken bones, and the claims got bigger with each retelling until they reached 15 broken bones, but there was no visible black eye visible in the footage from those days. She was later seen without the cast. She told a court she needed. She then sat next to Chinya 3 weeks after making accusations, called her a mate, said the bruises were from the street, said she'd fallen, said she'd been drunk, and finally admitted she'd been getting something out of going along with it. The case obviously did not proceed, and I'm saying all of that plainly because Chinya is a private individual who was publicly accused of generally a pretty violent crime, and the accusation, well, it just kind of fell apart in every single direction at once. So here we are, 29th of July, Korkle's back to filming motorcycles. Chinyan's page, I think, went briefly, but from recording this is back up and has 170,000 followers, and Crazy K, Nisha, and Tiffany have all turned on each other after Dakota and Felicity were spotted on the streets near Washington Street again this month. And Dakota's old accounts, well, they've all been wiped. So he's posting from a new one. And honestly, what I kept coming back to wasn't the fighting, it's what nobody did. In 3 years of footage about 2 disabled adults, a man with a documented brain bleed, robbed repeatedly, made to strip copper wire, dragged towards a vehicle by a stranger, and identified by name in police radio traffic as a man, people who keep mistaking for a child about protective services gets mentioned exactly once. Not as a call somebody made, as a credential somebody claimed in an argument with another creator. West Virginia has a waiver program for adults with intellectual and development disabilities. It has supported decision making. It has had guardianship. It has housing lists. Felicity was near the top of one, and Dakota has a disability payment, and he said on camera it's the only money he gets, and that it was cut back. Not one person in this entire cast across 3 years is documented as picking up a phone to any of it. The one man who tried arrange a caretaker was told by the people who replaced him that he was the problem, because none of that films well is honestly the real reason. There's obviously no live stream in a waiting list, and nobody's getting 11 million, or like we saw earlier, over 66 million views off a benefits application or a medication review, or both of them being in a boring apartment getting the care they generally need. No, these people have been extremely selfish and steered them directly away from that scenario entirely for their own benefit, while claiming that everybody else was the problem, just so they could get their views, make the money, make Felicity and Dakota's lives even worse, but maybe perhaps so one day they might be able to get that 5-bedroom house to themselves. And at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and obviously tell you that Dakota and Felicity are completely innocent, because if we've learned anything through this whole entire story, they're obviously not. I mean, they've lied on camera to almost everyone who have actually tried to help them. They've wrecked homes, belongings to people who took them in, and they've burnt every opportunity anyone put in front of them, including a flat with a lock on the door. But they are also two people operating without the judgment or the support the rest of us take for granted, in a town where the response to that was to simply point a camera at it. Check out my last video where I did one of TikTok's creepiest DID fakers who recently just got caught for faking a mental illness for clout, and why they were really trying to build an audience and what they got exposed doing.